There's only three types of marketing you can do as a realtor. Truly, all real estate marketing can be filtered into three different types. And all three types of marketing are useful. And any healthy real estate business will utilize all three. However, the vast majority of realtors, including, well, probably you, are relying entirely on only two types of marketing. And the third, the most powerful type of marketing, you aren't using it at all if you even know how. I'm Chris Jones, founder and CEO of Guerrilla Realty. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to finally break through to the next level by adding the third type of marketing. The best part is it's all organic, meaning it's free. And it's probably the simplest and most reliable type of marketing to implement once you understand the basics of how to do it. It's called direct response marketing. By the way, I do an in-depth 1-hour training on this exact topic that comes with a full download of my #1 direct response marketing playbook. And you can get the entire training and the playbook for free. All you have to do is like this video, share it with a friend, and then comment shared below, and I'll send you the private link. All right, here's exactly what I'll cover in this video. Lesson #1, what is direct response marketing? I'll give you the world's simplest definition of direct response marketing. And once you understand it, you'll see opportunities to do it everywhere. Then lesson #2, why is it essential? See, most realtors do 7 to 9 transactions per year, and no matter how hard they try, they can never seem to get past that plateau. In this lesson, I'll explain the math behind why that is and how you can bust past that plateau. And then lesson #3, how to implement today. This isn't vague, hand-wavy theory. This is practical wisdom that you can implement today and get results by tomorrow. And in this lesson, I'll give you 6 real-life examples of direct response marketing that you can implement today for free. And with that, let's dive into lesson #1. What is direct response marketing? So in order to define what is direct response marketing, I'm going to use my trusty whiteboard. So let me share my screen. And I want to introduce you to the concept of the marketing pyramid. So the pyramid means there's only 3 types of marketing that you can do as a realtor. That's it, right? Any activity that you do to go get more clients is going to fall under one of these 3 types of marketing. So without, in no particular order, I should say, they are direct response, infrastructure, or sphere of influence. Yes, you heard me right. Literally any marketing activity that you do will fall into one of these 3 categories. So let me show you how each one of them works. So to describe direct response marketing to you, let me give you some real life examples you're probably already familiar with. Ads, Google ads, Facebook ads, the like. Social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, etc. Cold calling, we've all been there and done that. Direct mail, postcards, letters, the I have a buyer letter, etc. Right? These are all specific, familiar examples of direct response marketing, but there's really no limit to what direct response marketing is. In fact, to give you a very simple definition, maybe the world's simplest definition, direct response marketing is any activity that you do where leads or potential clients respond directly. So it's very cause and effect. You do X, it results in Y. All right. Now let's talk infrastructure. Let me give you some real familiar examples of infrastructure marketing. These would be things like the infamous park bench. I don't know. Comment below if you've ever done park bench advertising. I'm always intrigued to know who is the realtor that's out there doing it and is it paying off. So park bench, right? Infrastructure is any literal, like either digital or physical infrastructure that you use to advertise and point people back towards your business, right? So park bench, yard signs are a great example of infrastructure. Business cards. Business cards are kind of like they straddle the line between direct response and infrastructure because you're handing out a business card, but it's literally like a physical thing that points people back to you, to your business, right? Google, Bing, Yahoo. This is digital infrastructure, something that most realtors don't think about. And we do a great video on how to leverage Google, Bing, and Yahoo, or this digital infrastructure to point people back to your business. But these are examples of infrastructure marketing, right? Then there's sphere of influence. Sphere of influence is your friends, family, and referrals. People that do business with you because they belong to what experts call your natural market. The people that already know, like, and trust you, and therefore by default or almost by default, they automatically do business with you, right? So this is a marketing pyramid. And the truth is, all three types of marketing are very healthy. All healthy real estate businesses should utilize all three types of marketing, right? Direct response marketing is easily the most powerful. And I'm going to talk about why in the next lesson. It's easily the most powerful, and it's also very active. It requires you to do activities, either you yourself, or you'd have to outsource, maybe you hire someone to do these activities, but you have to do activities. It's very active. Whereas infrastructure and sphere of influence are passive. Most of the time, after like maybe some initial setup, maybe you made a friend, or you had kids 30 years ago and now one of them's buying a house, you're gonna represent them. Okay. Infrastructure and sphere of influence are largely passive after the initial setup, right? So there's a reason why, and we'll cover this in the next lesson, why most realtors favor sphere of influence and then infrastructure in that order, and only dabble around in direct response as an absolute last resort, because most people don't understand it. And the reason why is because it's passive. But one more thing before we move on to lesson number 2 is I want to talk about the cyclical effect of a really good marketing pyramid and why you should be utilizing all three. Have you ever noticed that really good direct response marketing always leads to better infrastructure marketing? For example, let's say you run a bunch of Facebook ads, end up closing a bunch of deals. When it gets to infrastructure marketing, your Google, Bing, and Yahoo profiles are going to look a lot better because they're packed with 5-star reviews. And have you ever noticed that infrastructure or really good infrastructure marketing makes your sphere of influence easier, right? So when it comes to those friends or friends of friends who might use you, if your infrastructure is packed with 5-star reviews and everybody loves you and you look like a hero, it makes your sphere of influence marketing easier, right? And the cool thing is that really good sphere of influence marketing makes infrastructure even easier, and so on and so forth. And it's just a big cycle, so that direct response makes infrastructure easier, which makes sphere of influence easier, which makes infrastructure easier, which makes direct response easier. So again, all healthy real estate businesses should utilize all three types of marketing, and your business is always going to be somewhat deficient if you solely rely on only one single part of the pyramid. It's going to look incomplete. And so you need to identify, before you go on to the next lesson, identify which of these levels of the pyramid is my business missing right now. And after you figure that out, we'll discuss lesson number 2. Why is direct response marketing absolutely essential to your real estate business? And in order to prove this assertion, I'm going to do a little illustration here. So whether you know it or not, most realtors, including probably even you watching this video right now, rely almost entirely on sphere of influence marketing. What's sphere of influence marketing? Well, sphere of influence means you build this powerful network of people that know, like, and trust you, so that when they eventually move, because everybody moves eventually, they'll use you. And when they use you, you'll collect the business, get paid. And that's sphere of influence marketing, right? The problem is it's not really scalable. And it's not scalable because you can't simply manufacture new friends and family. Friends and family happen organically, right? And when they're not happening organically, typically the relationships are very flimsy and the marketing falls apart. So the typical realtor, the typical person with a typical amount of friends is only going to be able to do about 2 deals per year right now in the current market, in the current setting, about 2 deals per year. And I don't know about you, but that ain't going to pay the bills for me. 2 deals is not enough. And I'm actually going to cut away right now, and I'm going to demonstrate why it's only, I'm going to show you the math behind why it's only 2 deals per year with one of our best calculators. Okay, real quick. I just made the claim that good sphere of influence marketing is only going to yield the typical agent about 2 transactions per year. And that can't possibly be right, right? No, it is. And I'll show you the math behind why that's the case. So we built this incredible calculator. It's called the Megaphone Marketing Evaluator. And what we've done is we've calculated agent saturation by dividing the state population here in North Carolina into the number of total licensed agents. And agent saturation is about 0.97%. Okay. Based on that, we were able to predict how many people are moving at any given time so that we know how many deals per year you can yield out of your natural market or your sphere of influence based on the size of your sphere of influence. So if your audience is 500, back in 2021, when the market was kicking, there were probably 27 people moving that year in your audience of 500 people. And you would likely close about 5 of them. Because remember, you don't get all the business because in your audience of 500 people, there's going to be about 5 other realtors that you're sharing the business with. Make sense? All right. So the problem is that as volume has declined since our peak in 2021, now there's only 18 deals in your natural market of 500 people and only likely 3 closings, right? The problem is that most people don't have an audience of 500. So I use this as an example just to make a really, really clear illustration. I don't have 500 friends. My natural market isn't 500 people. The only people who do, these are like the LeBron Jameses of social influence. So these are, I don't mean literally LeBron James. I mean, people, have you ever noticed that some people are just very outgoing, right? They're extroverts. They're people that make friends everywhere that they go. I have a couple of friends like this, and they might, in very rare extreme circumstances, might have an audience of 500 people. But generally, the typical extrovert has an audience of about 250 people, right? Whereas the average person in general, people like me, only have an audience of about 100. And then extreme introverts would actually have, you know, a even smaller audience, maybe like 30 to 50 people. And so you have to balance that in, to factor that into the calculator. And so when I actually run these numbers for myself, I have likely closings back in the peak market, maybe 3, okay? And in the current market, only 2. All right. And so that's what I mean when I say the typical agent with a typical audience in a typical market like North Carolina, and you could run these numbers for yourself, you're only going to do about 2 deals from your sphere of influence, and it's really hard to scale up from there. All right, now that we've established that good sphere of influence marketing is likely only to yield about 2 deals per year for your business, let's move on to infrastructure marketing. Good infrastructure marketing is going to add about 3 to 5 deals per year, meaning your Google, Bing, and Yahoo is all optimized. Your yard signs are good. Your business cards are on point. Okay. You might add an additional 3 to 5 deals per year from all that. And that's why it's absolutely essential that you include direct response marketing in your business, right? And the cool thing about direct response marketing is that there's no cap on how many deals you want. So you can literally add as many deals as you want from direct response marketing. I'm actually going to break down the numbers even further in the next slide. All right, let's break down the numbers. Let's say you're a typical agent in a typical market and you want to earn $250,000 in annual net income. That would mean that you needed to close around 25 deals. And so here's how the numbers would break down. Direct response marketing would be responsible for 70% of all of your closed transaction, about 18 deals. Meanwhile, infrastructure would be 18% or 4 deals, like we already discussed. And finally, as I just proved to you with a big fancy calculator, sphere of influence is only going to be 2 or maybe 3 deals if you're lucky, somewhere in that zone. And so this is what a good marketing pyramid should look like. But imagine you were only doing infrastructure and sphere of influence marketing. You'd be lucky to do 7 deals per year. Here's the thing. That's what the average realtor is doing. And that's how you know that the average realtor is relying almost entirely on sphere of influence first and then infrastructure second. But they're hardly even touching direct response marketing. And that means there's not a lot of competition there. And that brings us to our third and final lesson: how to choose the right direct response marketing for your real estate business to implement today. And in order to do that, I'm going to share my screen one more time to introduce you to the concept of the playbook. So if you've hung around Guerrilla Realty any length of time, we use that terminology a lot. What's a playbook? Well, a playbook is just a step-by-step formula or a series of activities that you can do that'll result in more leads, qualified sales leads for you every time you do it. Think of it as like your go-to trick. So for some realtors, your go-to trick is, I need more business. I'm going to do an open house, or I'm going to sit at the duty desk floor, or yada, 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 right? So for us, we have developed now 31 and counting proven playbooks, marketing activities that work across North America to generate more qualified sales leads. And I'm going to show you 6 of them today. Just going to give you 6 quick examples of direct response marketing playbooks that you can go and implement to your business today. And I'm going to give you a chance to download them so you can get started on it immediately. So real quick, Facebook Marketplace, right? Number 1 is Facebook Marketplace. Every agent everywhere in the world should always be doing this playbook at all times. It's some of the lowest hanging fruit out there. Number 2, Facebook Marketplace paid. So most realtors don't know this, but there is a paid, kind of a hack, but there's a paid way to do Facebook Marketplace that allows you to scale and get additional leads in addition to the leads that you get off of Marketplace standard. Then Craigslist. Does anybody even use Craigslist anymore? Not only do they use it, but I generate leads off of Craigslist almost every single day. Then there's the Zillow Hack Playbook. In fact, this is my favorite playbook. If I could only use one playbook for the rest of my life, it'd be this one. It's a way that we flip FSBO listings on Zillow to bring us leads for free. It doesn't cost a dime. It's all organic, and typically we'll convert the FSBO into an actual listing as well. Then number 5 is up circulating. This is where we take a standard just listed post, and you can even do this for someone else's listing. In fact, almost all of our playbooks are based on someone else's listing. We do a great video on that. But you take the standard just listed video and you force it to go viral. And my best up circulating post ever generated 99 leads over about 60 days. And these are 99 qualified sales leads, unique, real names, real phone numbers of people that were going to be buying soon. And I did that with one single post, and we've helped dozens of other agents get the same or even better results. And then finally, number 6 is X Forecast. So this is our market authority app that you can use, and you can actually use it to broadcast live on your Facebook. Makes you look incredible, but there's also a really simple call to action trick that you can use to get incredible high quality CMA requests and seller leads, right? So just to give you an idea, these are the leads that you could expect from this lineup of playbooks. So Facebook Marketplace brings the typical agent who implements it about 80 leads per month. If you add the paid option, then it brings you an additional 50 leads, and it typically costs you about $3 a lead. Then Craigslist will bring you about 35 leads per month. Zillow Hack will bring you 50, Up Circulating 40, and X Forecast 10. And the reason why I give you the lineup here is because your next step is you want to reverse engineer your business. We do a different video that is another conversation for another time. Go look up that video, reverse engineer your business plan. Look it up on our YouTube channel. But you need to figure out what is your lead number. In other words, how many leads do you need to generate every single month in order to hit your income goals? And once you know your lead number, then you can pick either one playbook or a stack of playbooks that'll help you get to that number, right? So based on this quick description, what I want you to do next is I want you to comment below which playbook, the name of the playbook that you want to start on today. And someone from my team will actually send you a private link to the full 1-hour training, which will not only teach you how to do the playbook, but it will give you a chance to download the playbook for free. And remember, normally these playbooks only come with our paid service, right? So it's only through this video. If you comment below which playbook you want to learn and which playbook you want to download for free, we'll give you an opportunity to download it for free today. So there you have it. That's the lineup that I would recommend. Just choose one and then comment below, and we'll get you started on it immediately. But you got to start doing direct response marketing immediately. There you have it. The third type of marketing that most agents never touch: direct response. Now that you've seen how it works, I want you to ignore it at your own peril. As long as you rely exclusively on sphere of influence or infrastructure marketing, you'll be doomed to mediocre results. And I've proven it with math. But add in direct response marketing, and you can literally add as many closings as you want. By the way, if you don't have Pro Tools, but you still want to download some of our direct response playbooks, then take our 1-hour training on how to get clients from Facebook Marketplace. I'll send you the training for free. All you have to do is like this video, share it with a friend, and then comment shared below, and I'll send you a private link to the training. Then don't forget to subscribe to our channel because we're really close to a big milestone. Look, we've doubled our real estate business 3 times since 2019. If you want the full breakdown, exact scripts, step-by-step processes, and our brand new tool, drop a comment below.
No gimmicks, no paywalls. We're sending it completely free because we know it works.
Just type "send it" in the comments and we'll get it to you ASAP.
And if this was helpful, stick with us. We're dropping more strategies twice a week. Hit subscribe so you don't miss what's next.